Hey, this is Kevin. Welcome to BlenderBits.com. Today we're going to be discussing this really awesome software called Blender. It's free, you can download it, and it allows you to do a whole bunch of cool stuff. Lots of content creation, 3D characters, video games, special effects, editing, sculpting, a whole bunch of stuff. So what I want to do is really quickly give you a rundown of the interface. What I aim to do here is to give you at least enough information that you can go out and watch any other tutorials and pretty much understand what's going on when they talk about different parts of the software. So the first thing you see is this big splash screen that comes around. This usually launches when you first launch the software. You can do a few things with this. We're just going to leave it at the default for now and just left click off of it anywhere in the interface. Boom, gone. So what you see here is the top is called the info area, and this has your file, render, window, help, and a bunch of other things here that we'll get to in later videos. Over here you have what's called the outliner. This shows you everything that's in your scene. Now when I say scene, that's basically everything that you're working on. It's kind of like a file. Like if you're in Photoshop and you're working on a PSD file and it has all that information in it, like it's similar, and this shows you everything that's happening in your scene. Alright, down here we have the properties area. This shows a bunch of different icons at the top. So we have here, we have render, we have render layers, over here we have the camera, and so on and so forth. As you use the software, you'll start understanding more of what these things do and why you would use these panels over here. Next, we have this big area right here. This is the thing that you see prominent in Blender's interface. This contains your scene. This is everything that you're going to be working on in here. So think about the artboard in Illustrator or the white space in Photoshop, you know, what you paint on. This is where you create your stuff. Over here, we have the operator area. This is where you can use tools like translate, rotate, scale, mirroring. You can create plane, cube, circle, a whole bunch of different primitives, which are just basically three-dimensional shapes. You have relationships, you have animation, physics, grease pencil, so there's quite a bit in here that we'll get to in later videos. You don't really have to worry about that for now. Down here, by default, it shows what's called the node area. This is where a whole bunch of cool stuff is going to happen that lets you control what you see up here. And down here you have the animation area, and here you have the controls for animation. Now, one thing that's very confusing when people seem to start this software is you get a lot of people going, and I see people doing this all the time. They'll go and they'll click on this little thing over here and they'll drag it out, and then they'll click here and drag, and all of a sudden all these windows happen and they appear and you're very confused and you're like, oh my god, what happened? Really quick way to get rid of this, and you might want to write this down, is if you go up here to File and you say Application Templates, Default. Click on that, boom, back to how it started. Now another thing that people do is you see these little plus signs here. You can click on these and it gives you a lot more options for things that you may be working with in here. Same with down here, boom, more options. If this crowds your view space and crowds your mind and you don't really want to have it, you just move your mouse over, it turns into these double arrows, left click and drag back all the way, boom, gone. Now it's closed. See, open, closed, open, closed, and you can pretty much do that anywhere. So down here, this is open, stretching, boom, closed. And lastly, I kind of want to go into these little double arrow icons here. These actually will change the windows that you're working with. So up here, you really don't want to use this too much because I like to use this, leave this up. But down here or down here, you can change either one of these, and that'll change the view that you're working on. So right now we're in the 3D view. Alright, you can change it to timeline, you can change it to dope sheet, you can change it to the outliner, which is basically a mirror of this. You can change it to user preferences, which gives you a whole bunch of different things here that you can change, like in the interface, editing, input, add-ons, so on and so forth. I like to leave that as is. So I change that back to 3D view right here. And I can pretty much work with the software just the way it's set up. It's very efficient and it's set up very well. There are custom setups that you can do later on as you start working. You have your own setups, you have your own workflow, and that's really cool. And you'll see that a lot in other videos, that people have these things set up to how they want to work. But for right now, we'll just leave it as the default. Okay, so that's pretty much the gist of this video. This is a quick introduction to the interface. I don't want to get into anything else, don't want to confuse you. Just open the software, play around with things, get used to opening things, closing things, seeing how it works, play around, mess the interface up, change it, and you can always go back to File, Application, Templates, Default. Or another way, quick way, lastly, is if you do stuff like this, you can also just go and click on this little corner thing, drag over, you see this little arrow shows up right here, you let go, boom. Now that killed that whole window. Okay, so I hope you like this video. Make sure to click like and subscribe. I'm going to be creating a whole lot more. It gets a lot more in depth. So this should hopefully give you a quick overview of the interface. So if you have any questions, make sure to ask in the comments section and do my best to answer all your questions. Alright, thanks. Talk to you later. Bye.